welcome back to Watching Business Incorporated on Channels Television. Now, the Nigerian Central Securities Clearing System, that's the CSCS, they revealed that businesses operating in Nigeria encounter an alarming average of 2,500 cyber attacks every week, highlighting the significant cybersecurity challenges that companies face in an increasingly digital landscape, which should be welcomed, the movement to the landscape. But it also notes that cybercrime is projected to cost the global economy about 10.5 trillion naira this year. So it's not just the Nigerian thing, but what can Nigeria do to protect itself and protect its businesses? Let's find out with Paul Opara. Paul Opara is right here in the studio. He's the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Sowebatu. Good morning, Paul. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I was here in the morning, so I
okay,
guess
it's been a long day.
in the morning, in the morning mood. But so
right.
having this number, 2,500,
Scary.
It's scary every week, and this is reality. In fact, mostly it's safe to say this is underestimated or underreported.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they can find out at the moment. But it's the devil is always in the details, so it's probably way more than that.
So how do these cyber attacks come? Do they infiltrate bank apps? Do they go to, how does it really, what does it look like, or what does it come across as?
Yeah, so I think what should be interesting is to say, how can we actually address this? Because before I address that, because we're facing like a very serious challenges right now in Nigeria, because like you rightly said, the numbers are increasing, and the scary part is this: we do not have enough resources on ground to even combat that, and that is what is even more scary. So,
what kind of resources do we need?
People, competencies around to be able to combat this.
Is it because of the jackpot?
Yeah, the jackpot syndrome is real. Most of all the competent people are like abroad. Most of them are moving to Canada or the US or wherever they can find something. So for me, that's actually a big concern, which is what led me and my team just on Secure and Sowebatu AB, which is we came together and we decided, okay, how do we address this?
No, I think what we should actually talk about should be, what tips can we give businesses and individuals to protect themselves in the midst of the rising cyber attacks?
Okay, there are you are only as secure as your weakest link. We can start with some kind of a security awareness training and helping different employees in an organization to be able to be aware of what is actually happening within the organization. So when it comes to majority of the issues that we have in companies today are due to lack of security awareness. We actually believe that if we are able to train people and bring them together and give them enough information, they should be able to stand against any cyber attacks.
So by now, tips such as, don't use easily cracked password, don't use your name as your password. Those information have been around. How useful are some of those simple tips?
Yeah, they're still very valuable. Sometimes we actually we address things that are more complicated instead of obeying and adhering to things that are quite simple. Something like don't use a simple password. What happened? How should you undo your card? I think that's something that is very on the rise now. On my way to the studio here, I was reading, one of my friends that sent me a message that says, "Oh, my card got compromised," and getting compromised. My card was stolen, and even when I called the bank, they were still able to withdraw my money from my account. So what can you do in that process to be able to safeguard that even when you are compromised, even when your card gets stolen, you are still able to protect yourself? So what are the simple and non-complicated stuff that you can do to be able to keep your asset? That is being aware of, like, how should you put your card in your there are different wallets today where you get to protect your card informations and you get to put those things there. So there are simple things like not using a simple password, not answering all kind of questions when you get called in Nigeria, when you get called on the phone. So there are things in place to be able to handle that.
Then there's the one that, phones are stolen and then, bank apps are accessed. But I know there's some steps that they say you can take. Is that still useful?
Yeah. So the one that is very paramount now is the WhatsApp incident that's been happening, and I discovered that most people do not really have multi-factor authentication in place. So what I always suggest is this. I mean, so many of us that have WhatsApp is how we actually conduct most of our businesses today. Things like using multi-factor authentication, which is very simple to set up. Basically, what you do is this: you make sure that apart from your regular username and password, there are other devices that you can use, that you can put in place to be able to identify yourself. So put your other phone numbers in place so that when it's compromised, you have an alternative to be able to restore it. But that being said, because there are cases now where you actually do have multi-factor authentication put in place, but you still get compromised. And how does that happen? That happens through what we call the social engineering. How does social engineering work? People use things that you know around you to get to you. Things like majority of us, when we're on the phone, we are always we are not very conversant about our environment, and we just talk really loud. And by you talking really loud, I mean, people around you can pick what you're saying and then call you in turn. I mean, there are a bunch of people that have received messages where they call them and they just impersonate that your sister is sick, your sister wants you to send money right now. What do you do when you're in such a situation? What you do is pretty simple. Don't act with impulses. Don't just go ahead and start to. For me, although I'm a cybersecurity specialist, I'm still human. So when things like that happen, what do? I take a 5-minute break. I don't respond to you. Just directly when you call me and ask and bring up those kind of stuff. Try to take a pause and say, okay, can I get back to you? Then I try to reach whoever it is that they are trying to impersonate. Because in the street of Lagos, the hustling and bustling, you're talking, you don't know who is around you. Then they gather it. It's called reconnaissance, where they gather all the information they know, and then they attack you with it. So it is not just technical. I mean, technical can only solve some stuff, but most of all the attacks that have been perpetrated are through social engineering, just social engineering. I mean, and this has compromised big, high, and mighty. Because there's some soft parts in every one of us as human. When someone mention and tell you that your mother in the village is sick and they would like you to send money right now, and you should click a code that appears on your phone. So if you get too emotional about that, and then you click that code, then things start to happen. So I always tell people, the bad guys are not that powerful if you don't give them the room to do that. I have Yoruba upbringing, so I don't know. I'm always using the Yoruba proverb like, "Kokoro to nje fo, therefore lower." So meaning the insects. The things around you. If the enemy outside can't get you, I'm just paraphrasing now. If the enemy inside cannot get you, it's difficult for the enemy outside to get you. So we translate that to technology.
Charity begins at home.
It begins at home. So,
all right. Thank you for those tips, Paul Okarachi, Executive Officer and Managing Director of Webatu, for those cybersecurity tips. Let's be more conscious, more security conscious, I guess. That's the bottom line of that. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.